The X, live in Manchester. There is only one rule, that is, there are no rules. Dutch group of more than 3 decades, the X are the last band standing. They came from a time when standard rock was abolished and new methods of communication were established. For the past 3 decades, they have been a restless band, incorporated a whole gamut of musical styles into an oral adventure that makes most other bands look lazy and pointless. Like a clanking, mechanical Dutch rhythm machine, they have somehow managed to combine strands of music as diverse as Ethiopics, Burundi, Gnawa, dubstep, post-punk, blues, free jazz and folk into an innovative whole. And that's the cool thing about the X. No matter how far they wander from their base, they still manage to make the whole caboodle of sound as direct, focused and punk rock as when they started way back in the late 70s. The band have their roots in punk rock Amsterdam and in the vibrant late 70s anarchist squat culture of the city. They grew up of the ideas thrown into the air by Crass, that direct political anger fused with inventive avant-garde take on punk's template. They took them in their own idiosyncratic direction. They shared Crass's intelligence and collective spirit, and the idea that punk rock could be so much more than an excuse to just get pissed. The UK Death to Trad rock bands found the common ground of the X, and when they toured Holland in the early 80s, they used to stay there with their squat south of Amsterdam. They were an epicenter of a thriving scene then, and their musical adventure was already unfurling into a fascinating direction of unapologetic records and fierce, idealistic politics. Then and now, an X show is like no other. There are no stars, no concessions to boorish rock and roll stupidity. This is a joyous affair, a stage crowned with equal partners. There is a twin guitars of Andy, who used to be in the fantastic Dogface Hermans, and long-standing ex-member Terry, scratching, scraping, hypnotic, riffing on battered Telecasters, and weird half-bass, half-guitar combinations that build and build into the amazing song climaxes. There's a brass section that has come from some of the world's finest brass players, that cut loose from moments that are sheer Sun Ra or Coltrane, or even the legendary police brass band that played in all the Ethiopics records. Ethiopics, by the way, is music from Ethiopia from the early 70s, like psychedelic. New ex-singer Arnold de Boer, who replaced recently departed Jos, whose 30 years service in the band was as unstinting as it was brilliant, has nobly filled the gap with the right combination of intensity that the modesty of that marks his band out. And perhaps a key part, after all these decades, is a delightful Cat on drums. She's the best drummer in the world, no argument. Still, I've seen the X so many times in the last 30 years, and she's been unfailingly brilliant. There is no dull 4/4 here. Cat has a rhythm machine. The combination of cowbells and woodblocks with a rolling, multi-rhythmic approach are amazing. No song ever gets bogged down in the obvious, but every song is unfailingly danceable, and that's yet another key to the X. She also sings 2 songs, one in Ethiopian and one in German, in her great voice. The X have managed to keep moving through decades with this spirit. Their restless hunger for music has seen them play all over the world, including several trips to the aforementioned Ethiopia, where they played several gigs. Their outward-looking international approach has fused their music and outlook and their approach to making music. An X show is a shared experience. They take the audience on an oral adventure, a musical trip to places no one has been to before. They are the most interesting musical unit in the world today. Several of the long-standing post-punk bands get endless accolades for their sense of exploration, but all of them bar the X just repeat the same tricks over and over to the same applause. Go and see the X and you'll hear rhythms you've never heard before. You'll find yourself dancing some free jazz wildness in 13/8 time, and when you find yourself grinning to a piece of white noise, you'll shut your eyes and get lost in the brass section, delivering their free jazz scrunk. All this should not really be happening. After all, that kind of music is normally the hands of snobs. But the X are playful and make their tough musical choices, their breathtaking frontier music, with a direct political anger into a sweaty, seething party, an uplifting, joyful celebration. No one else can do this. And the cool thing is that suddenly they have become quite popular doing it. Right out of the blue, after 30 years, after the gradual strangulation of the creative culture by the corporations and the cynicism of the music industry, the X have brilliantly proved that playing music with this sense of wild-eyed fun and radical political edge, and this adherence to all that was good and great about the positive politic of the punk and post-punk period, can actually fucking work. And you know what really makes me feel great this morning? The X tour sold out fast. After years of being the best-kept cult secret, they have suddenly started to become popular. Today, the world is smiling. The good people are winning.